You think you can spot a psychopath? Think again. They're not the serial killers from movies. They're the charming coworker, the attentive new friend, or even the perfect partner. At first, most people miss these five critical signs until it's too late. And by then, they've already caused devastating damage to your life, reputation, and mental health. Today, I'm going to show you what psychologists and criminal profilers look for, the subtle but unmistakable signs that separate true psychopaths from merely difficult people. Let's start with the most dangerous sign, something that feels incredibly positive until you understand its true purpose. Sign 1. Predatory charm. The first psychopathic indicator is weaponized charm, a calculated, almost perfect charisma that's deployed strategically rather than expressed naturally. Unlike normal friendliness, psychopathic charm feels too perfect, too tailored to your specific preferences, and can switch on or off instantly depending on who's watching and what they want. Dr. Robert Hare, creator of the PCLR psychopathy assessment used by the FBI, identifies this superficial charm as one of the most reliable early warning signs. It's not a personality trait, but a predatory tool. I observed a colleague who mirrored each person's interests, speech patterns, and values with chameleon-like precision. Yet, when no one valuable was watching, the charm vanished completely, revealing a cold, calculating demeanor. Watch for charm that disappears in private, or when they don't need something from you. This isn't just charisma, it's a hunting technique. The second sign reveals itself in their emotional responses, or more accurately, their disturbing lack thereof. Sign 2. Emotional emptiness. The second psychopathic indicator is affective deficit, a profound inability to experience normal human emotions, particularly fear, empathy, and remorse. Neuroscience research from the University of Wisconsin shows that psychopaths' brains process emotional stimuli fundamentally differently with reduced activity in regions responsible for emotional processing. This manifests as inappropriate emotional responses, smiling slightly during tragic news, displaying rage over minor inconveniences, or describing traumatic events with complete detachment. Most revealing is what clinicians call the dead eyes moment, when their emotional mask momentarily slips, revealing a complete absence of genuine feeling behind their performance. This isn't someone being reserved or stoic. It's a neurological inability to feel emotions the way normal humans do. Their emotional expressions are learned behaviors, not felt experiences. The third sign appears in their personal narratives, stories designed to weaponize your compassion against you. Have you ever felt inexplicably compelled to protect someone whose victim stories later proved suspicious? You likely encountered this next tactic. Sign 3. Strategic victimhood. The third psychopathic indicator is tactical victimhood, elaborate, emotionally manipulative narratives of persecution that position them as innocent victims deserving special treatment, loyalty, and resources. Unlike genuine victims, psychopaths craft persecution stories with strategic precision. Research from Oxford's Department of Experimental Psychology shows that psychopaths excel at creating emotionally compelling narratives that bypass rational evaluation. Their victim stories follow a pattern. They were exceptional in some way. Others were jealous. They were betrayed despite their goodness. And now they need your help, loyalty, resources to overcome this injustice. These narratives contain subtle inconsistencies, but create such strong emotional pull that questioning them feels wrong. They're designed specifically to extract sympathy, disable your critical thinking, and position them as deserving of special accommodation. This isn't someone who's been genuinely victimized. It's a predatory tactic to disarm and manipulate. The fourth sign manifests in how they approach relationships, revealing their fundamentally parasitic nature. Sign 4. Parasitic lifestyle. The fourth psychopathic indicator is resource extraction, a pervasive pattern of exploiting others for financial support, housing, connections, status, or even emotional supply while giving little or nothing in return. Research from the University of British Columbia's Forensic Psychology Department shows that psychopaths view relationships exclusively as resource acquisition opportunities, targeting people based on specific assets they want to extract. They identify what you have that they want: money, connections, status, housing, skills, and create a relationship specifically to gain access to it. What they appear to give always comes with hidden costs and future leverage. A critical warning sign is when they begin isolating you from others who might recognize their pattern. They systematically separate you from anyone who might warn you about what's happening. This isn't someone going through a temporary rough patch. It's a lifelong pattern of calculated exploitation. The fifth sign reveals their most disturbing trait, one that becomes apparent only after they've gained control. Sign 5. Calculated destruction. The fifth psychopathic indicator is recreational destruction, a pattern of deliberately harming others for minimal gain or pure entertainment, revealing a fundamental enjoyment of suffering. Unlike normal conflict, psychopathic harm is calculated and often seemingly purposeless. Research from Harvard's psychology department shows that psychopaths experience genuine pleasure when witnessing others' distress, activating reward centers in their brains. They create elaborate conflicts between friends, spread devastating rumors, or reveal secrets with precise timing to cause maximum damage. They systematically test boundaries with small cruelties to assess what you'll tolerate before escalating. Most disturbing is their tendency to target the most vulnerable: children, animals, elderly, or those already struggling. Not for any gain, but because defenseless targets provide easier suffering with less consequence. This isn't someone being insensitive. It's a neurological reward response to causing pain. Now that you recognize these 5 signs, let's discuss how to safely escape a psychopath's influence. The escape plan. The most effective escape strategy is what psychologists call the gray rock method. Becoming so boring and unresponsive that the psychopath voluntarily seeks more stimulating targets. Direct confrontation is dangerous and counterproductive. Research from the Psychopathy Research Unit shows that psychopaths respond to direct challenges with escalating aggression and calculated revenge. Instead, gradually reduce your emotional responsiveness. Provide minimal information about your life. Become predictable and uninteresting. Avoid displaying fear, anger, or distress as these emotions are rewarding to them. Simultaneously, document everything. Secure your essential resources and quietly build a support network without the psychopath's knowledge. The key insight is understanding that psychopaths require emotional engagement, either positive or negative. By providing neither, you become an unsatisfying target they'll eventually abandon. Let me explain why traditional approaches to conflict resolution fail catastrophically with psychopaths. Think about how you normally handle relationship problems. With psychopaths, these exact approaches will make your situation dramatically worse. Why normal methods fail? Traditional conflict resolution strategies fail with psychopaths because they lack the neurological capacity for the emotions these approaches target. Appeals to empathy fail because they cannot feel it. Requests for fairness fail because they see exploitation as their right. Heart-to-heart conversations provide them with ammunition about your vulnerabilities. Setting boundaries creates a challenge they feel compelled to violate. Neuropsychological research from the University of Montreal shows that psychopaths process social interactions through entirely different brain regions than normal humans. They literally cannot engage with emotional or moral appeals. Most dangerously, couples therapy or mediation with a psychopath typically worsens outcomes as they manipulate the mediator and gather information about exactly which approaches affect you most deeply. This isn't a communication problem. It's a fundamental neurological difference that cannot be bridged. The recovery process from psychopathic manipulation requires understanding the unique nature of this trauma. The recovery process. Healing from psychopathic manipulation differs from other trauma recovery because it involves rebuilding your fundamental trust in your own perceptions. Psychopaths create what Harvard trauma specialists call coercive control, systematically dismantling your reality testing until you doubt your own experiences and judgment. Recovery begins with validation, confirming that your experiences were real and your reactions normal. This often requires specialized therapy with clinicians experienced in psychopathic abuse. The most crucial element is understanding that the profound bond you felt was a neurochemical response to their intermittent reinforcement pattern, creating addiction-like attachment that mimics but fundamentally differs from genuine love. With proper support, survivors typically experience a distinctive moment of clarity when the psychopath's behaviors suddenly appear transparent rather than confusing. The first step toward complete recovery. Let me address the most common question. Can psychopaths change with enough love, understanding, or therapy? The hard truth. This condition is essentially untreatable with current methods. Unlike most psychological conditions, psychopathy involves fundamental structural and functional differences in the brain, particularly in regions governing emotional processing, empathy, and moral reasoning. A comprehensive 30-year study from the University of California followed psychopathic individuals through various treatment programs. The disturbing finding: therapy often made them more effective at manipulation by teaching them the language of emotions and recovery without the corresponding internal experience. The most ethical clinical approach now focuses on risk management and harm reduction, rather than attempting to create empathy where the neurological hardware doesn't exist. This isn't pessimism, it's the current scientific understanding of a neurological condition that fundamentally alters how a person processes social and emotional information. Let me leave you with the 5 critical signs and the most important insight about psychopathic manipulation. The 5 signs of psychopathy: weaponized charm, emotional emptiness, tactical victimhood, resource extraction, and recreational destruction, form a constellation that separates true psychopaths from merely difficult people. The most crucial insight is understanding that psychopaths aren't just making different choices. They're operating with fundamentally different neurological equipment. Their behavior isn't personal but predatory. Knowledge is your strongest protection. By recognizing these patterns early, you can avoid becoming deeply entangled with someone neurologically incapable of genuine care or empathy. If you've already experienced this type of manipulation, remember your inability to comprehend their behavior wasn't naivety. It was your healthy brain struggling to understand someone wired completely differently from you. The most reliable protection isn't becoming less trusting of everyone. It's becoming more aware of these specific research-validated patterns that signal genuine danger. Remember, psychopaths count on your doubt and disbelief. Trust your instincts when something feels wrong. Document everything and prioritize your safety over their feelings. Your well-being depends on it.